and I'm going to show the people of Gotham their city doesn't belong to the criminals and the corrupt. People need dramatic examples to shake them out of apathy, and I can't do that as Bruce Wayne. As a man, I'm flesh and blood. I can be ignored, I can be destroyed, but as a symbol, I can be incorruptible. I can be everlasting. What symbol? Something elemental, something terrifying.
Hello, welcome to the road to the Batman. 41 watchers look back at the Dark Knight standalone film history ahead of his next big screen iteration. I'm Ashley Hobley, your host for this podcast, and joining me today, Tom Blight.
Happy to be here to talk about this movie. I'm happy to never talk about this movie again, I mean.
Yes, so today we're talking about Batman and Robin. One of the worst reviewed comic book movies ever, I think. So, heads up. Alright, please be aware we'll be freely discussing anything and everything about the plot themes in any other film, so if you haven't watched it, come back later. With that said, let's jump to a discussion of Batman and Robin.
Chicks dig the car.
This is why Superman works alone.
A world at risk.
Batman will watch his beloved Gotham perish.
Just what I had in mind. Everything dead on Earth except us.
Yes.
Girl of my dreams.
Come join me. Forget the geriatric bat.
A partnership.
Robin, no!
In crisis.
You were reckless, and you almost got killed by Freeze tonight. All you could think about was poison ivy.
How are we supposed to work together if you won't trust me?
A family in conflict.
Directed by Joel Schumacher, written by Akiva Goldsman. Based on characters appearing on published by DC Comics, Batman by Bob Kane with Bill Finger. Starring George Clooney, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Chris O'Donnell, Uma Thurman, Alicia Silverstone, Michael Gough, Pat Hingle, and Elle Macpherson. This superhero adventure finds Batman and his partner Robin attempting to foil the sinister schemes of a deranged set of new villains, most notably the melancholy Mr. Freeze, who wants to make Gotham into an Arctic region, and the sultry Poison Ivy, a plant-loving femme fatale. As a dynamic duo contends with these bad guys, a third hero, Batgirl, joins the ranks of the city's crime fighters. Dylan, what are your memories of Batman and Robin? And
So I think similar to last week. I liked it when I was a kid. Arnold Schwarzenegger's performance is loud and silly, and the whole movie is just silly. It is basically a live action cartoon, and that's obvious, like even more so than the previous one. But yeah, as an adult, it's nearly unwatchable, to be honest. It is really hard. I mean, I want to say I watched it, but I spent a lot of time on my phone, so I don't even know, like, if I would even call it as watching. I'm doing literally everything I hate about people who watch movies, but it's fine, because it's bad. But yeah, I would find it hard to. So Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze is just dropping one-liners every time he's on screen. The character is just like a screaming mess. It's horrible. George Clooney's Batman is almost like he didn't realize he was in the movie. I don't know, like he just seems so out of place, so off base. It's like an SNL skit, but it's the actual movie. You know, like it seems like it's not even, like he shouldn't even be playing the role. Chris O'Donnell, we talked about, he's not a great Robin. Uma Thurman is having fun, but she's, again, much like older villains in the past two, it's like just completely off her chops, ramped up to 200% for no reason. Ridiculousness. Her last fight with Batgirl is just stupid. I actually think Alicia Silverstone's the best part of the movie. I think she's actually gives the best performance. And her performance isn't even great. It's like she's a new actress sort of role, whatever. But I would say in the scheme of things, hers is the one that seems the most realistic. Or like actually real. Everyone else is just off the chain. Or maybe you could say Michael Gough or whatever else. Alfred sort of still gives the best performance because he's like sort of a consistent factor for all 4 movies. And the whole storyline about him dying or whatever is like the only sort of element that's at all interesting with something to make you care about it. Everything else is terrible. All the action scenes are terrible. Bane's horrible. Nearly forgot about that. Bane's horrible.
Yeah, Bane's in this movie.
Bane's in this movie. That's an absolute just mess of a thing. It looks disgusting, and it looks even worse than Forever. It's just even more neon colors. The world, everything about those first 2, where the city just felt alive. This just feels void of people. It just feels like a cartoon sandbox where people are playing around with bat figures, and I guess that's what they're doing. But it has no substance. Its style is just what it thinks is, I guess, cool. I hate it. It's terrible. I never want to watch it again.
Yeah, I have fond memories of this movie as a kid. Like, I think it would be in heavy rotation, like, because I feel like it came on the TV all the time, and that kind of thing. So, you know, as a kid, you come to love all the Doctor Mr. Freeze jokes and that kind of stuff. But yeah, as an adult, it's a rough watch. Like you said, I don't know. I feel like it depends on how much you like puns, whether you like Mr. Freeze or not. But it feels like it was included because of how much goodwill he'd gotten from his appearances in the animated series, which makes sense because they kind of gave him the whole backstory there of his wife being frozen and everything. Which is kind of,
but they also treat it really serious in the cartoon.
Yeah, they treat it
like
serious,
super
unlike
sad
here.
Story. Yeah.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not good casting. when the baseline is, he's a physicist or whatever.
Let me freeze guy. Just like
listen, I got a list of puns I'm going to run through later. So, yeah, he's like. He looks, it's cool that he committed to the blue skin the entire time. I think that looks pretty solid. But yeah, it was a bit of a miscast. It doesn't quite fit the Mr. Freeze we know from the comics or from the animated series or for any other version. Yeah, Uma Thurman looks like she's having fun, but bloody hell, that's like problematic. That whole storyline. I didn't mind George Clooney as Batman. You know, he's playing George Clooney, but I think that kind of works for Batman for the most part. He's just being George Clooney for the most part.
I don't know if it's his choice or the direction, but several times it's like, is this a serious scene or is this like a lighthearted scene? Because no matter what, George Clooney just looks like he's doing the first table read and doesn't know like what emotion he's supposed to be sort of portraying. It's really weird.
I know it is obviously an early role for him, like straight out of VR, I think, or like obviously he would become better as the years have gone on. But yeah, I didn't mind him as Bruce or Batman. I think, I think anything to do with Alfred in this film is like probably the best part of the movie. So, him reminiscing about his childhood with Alfred and that kind of stuff was sweet and endearing. Yeah, Chris O'Donnell is like, he's not good. Why they still kept him? Like, I think the entire butting of heads because they're both in love with Poison Ivy is kind of gross.
You just want to take it from me, don't you, Bruce? You're jealous that she likes me and not you.
It's just kind of even more problematic because we don't know how old he is.
He's 16, remember? He has to go to school.
Yeah, Alicia Silverstone, she's fine, but it's like a really poorly written role. And like, she just...
Oh, yeah.
It's very bad. She just pops up in the last 30 seconds. Yeah, I'll just mention here, all the costume close-ups. Fucking hell.
Bat nipples, bat ass.
Bat crotch.
Bat groin.
Yeah. It's like, rough. Yeah, Yeah, but who was it? Michael Gough. Best performance, probably the MVP of the original Batman franchise. Yeah,
original franchise. Yeah.
But yeah. Action wise, freaking hell, they went like over the top, didn't they? Dylan, this movie opens with an action sequence in which they fight Mr. Freeze. He's frozen an entire museum.
Mm-hmm.
And then Batman and Robin put out ice skates on their boots so they can get around. So the opening sequence is entirely on ice.
Batman on ice.
And they're fighting ice skating goons. What? Why is this in a Batman movie? Oh man, it's yeah. Some of that stuff's bad. The thing that weirded me out the most, though, is the observatory. How did they construct it? How do people get up to it? Why? It's like a statue of a person holding it.
Yep.
But how do people get up to the observatory?
That's like miles away from Gotham or whatever.
Yeah, at the top of a giant cliff.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. Much like a lot of things in this movie, it wasn't really thought out, I don't think.
There's a lot of... Actually, now that I think about it, there's a lot of statue hands. Because, like, they do that big jump at the start of the film off, like, some arm as well, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's, like, the three fingers that the three vehicles go off.
Oh, that's right.
There's two crashed. You know, poor Robin gets his bike shut down. But, yeah, he was never going to make that jump. Yeah, it's not good. Obviously, interesting cameo by John Glover in this movie as well, as the inventor of Venom. Interesting tidbit, he was originally meant to be... that's who Tim Burton originally wanted to play the Joker. So yeah, finally gets in Batman here, but he's grateful about that. Thankfully, he went on to play a much better supervillain a few years later.
Lionel Luthor.
Yeah.
Shout out to Smallville fans.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything redeemable about this movie, in your opinion?
No. I don't feel like I'm being mean. Like, I try not to be like super mean on movies usually. Like, even if I don't like a movie, I'm usually, trying to find something. But honestly, this is one of the worst movies ever made, in my opinion. Like, this is terrible. I don't have anything really that I would say, oh, that scene was good, or that moment was good. I'm just watching it solely to tick a box to do this podcast. There is not a second I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Also, if they've got Mr. Freeze being blue, why don't they commit to Poison Ivy being green? Also, the way she...
sexy, Like,
I guess, but like she could like transform at some point during the movie or something. Or she could do the Joker thing where she paints herself skin colored.
Sure.
Also, the way she's taken out is her giant plant eats her.
Yep.
Even though she controls plants.
Yep.
Alright, let me read some of these dumb quotes.
You mean every line from Mr. Freeze in this movie?
I'm pulling from this random article that says top 10 Mr. Freeze puns. From lamest to coolest. Alright, so I'll be back. Alright, everyone. Chill, chill, chill. Yes, Adam and Evil. No, I'm not going to continue doing the accent because it's terrible. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. Allow me to break the ice. This is purely like for Simon Blackburn at this point. If revenge is a dish best served cold, then put it on your Sunday finest. It's time to feast. The Iceman cometh. You're not sending me to the cooler. Their blood will freeze in my hands. I mean, I don't think that's a pun.
No, that's not a pun.
I'm afraid that my condition has left me cold to your pleas of mercy. No, I think it's solid. Prepare for a bitter harvest. Winter has come at last. Yeah. Batman and Robin. So, interesting other fact I just found out about this movie. Apparently there was already a 5th movie in development before this came out. They saw the people at Warner Brothers watched the dailies and they're like, yes, this looks good. Let's make a 5th one. So yeah, that was going to be Batman Unchained, but then the movie was a box office disappointment. Still made $238 million worldwide, but that's against a $160 million budget. Of course, getting roundly negative reviews. And, being the worst performing Batman movie of all time. That sequel was subsequently cancelled. So, yes.
Do you know the extra piece of trivia about it, though?
What?
Apparently they reused some of that in Batman Night.
Yeah, here we go. His script had Scarecrow as the main villain. So, yeah. Apparently he was going to resurrect the Joker as a hallucinogen in Batman's mind. Harley Quinn would have appeared, written as Joker's daughter. And apparently Nicolas Cage was approached to play the Scarecrow. So, are you grateful we don't live in a world in which there was a 5th or a 3rd Schumacher movie?
Apparently he was going to do it like serious, which is the weird thing.
That's what he says now.
That's what he says now, yeah. Yeah. It's really weird, though. Like, why was you making these two as cartoons? I just don't get. That's the thing that confused me most. Like, the first two are dark, serious movies for the most part. They're just Tim Burton movies, I guess is what they are. They're Tim Burton movies. And then he comes along and he turns them into this. I just don't get it. And as I said last week, there's just this movie at least has a singular tone, but it's just terrible. Whereas the last one was at times like, oh, I'm still in this Burton verse. Oh, 1 foot into my Schumacher verse. Whereas this one's full Schumacher. And you never go full Schumacher.
Never go full Schumacher. Right, yeah. So anything else you want to talk about Batman and Robin?
Really excited. Talk about good movies again. As of next week.
Wow. Yeah. Also, crazy that Elle Macpherson is in this movie.
Yeah.
As Bruce Wayne's longtime girlfriend.
Very long time.
Who had never seen before in any of these.
Yep. And she's in one scene.
Yep. Even though specifically last movie, he was trying to hook up with Nicole Kidman.
Yep.
It's been
so long that Chris O'Donnell is now 21 years old.
But also 16 because it's still no school.
But also still 16 because it's school.
All right, let us know what you thought of Batman and Robin going to explosionhour.com/Twitter or jump into our Discord at explosionhour.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchase or tell people about the show. Give us 5 stars on Spotify or other stuff like heading over to explosionhour.com/support and helping us out by leaving as little as $1 in our Ko-fi. That helps keep the lights on here at the Explosion Network. Yeah. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess. This movie just broke me.